Do you ever get that feeling? You know, like you're constantly reaching for something just outside your grasp. Maybe it's this sense that if you just had that promotion or, I don't know, that perfect relationship, or maybe just more of something, then finally you truly be okay.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really common feeling, isn't it? This idea that our enoughness somehow depends on something, well, external, something we still need to get or achieve.
Yeah, it's like we're conditioned almost to believe fulfillment is like a destination. And you get there by collecting things, success, stuff, validation from other people.
Exactly.
And what if that very chase, that feeling of needing something else is actually the biggest thing stopping you from realizing you're already, well, complete, already sufficient, right here, right now.
That's a powerful thought, and it's pretty much the core of what we're diving into today. We've got some really, really insightful material someone shared with us exploring this concept called inner sufficiency. Thai.
Right. So our mission really for this deep dive is to unpack what that truly means, using these notes as our guide. And it's not about giving up or just settling, is it? It seems more like a fundamental shift in how we see things.
Definitely. Moving away from defining enough by what's outside, external stuff, and discovering it as this deep, kind of vibrant state inside.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start peeling back the layers here. What does the source material actually say?
Well, right off the bat, the source makes a really key distinction. It says inner sufficiency isn't like a final goal, something you achieve and tick off a list.
Ah, okay, so not a destination then.
No, exactly. It's described more as a state. Or maybe a fundamental quality of your mind, your spirit. And it's something that doesn't come from outside, but it kind of emerges when you journey deep within yourself.
And the core insight, the thing the source keeps coming back to, is this realization, right? This deep knowing sense that we are already sufficient. Everything is sufficient in this present moment.
Yes, and that word realization feels so important here. It's not just like a nice thought you try to convince yourself of, or some abstract idea.
Yeah.
The source really implies it's a profound internal shift, a way of seeing yourself and the world that, well, it changes everything.
And because it's a realization from within, the source also clarifies what it isn't, doesn't it?
It does. It's not just deciding, okay, I'm going to stop wanting external things now. And it's definitely not just settling for what you have out of like resignation or defeat.
Got it. So it's not about accepting limitations, but more about a really deep awareness, an awareness of the value that's already here just in life itself.
Precisely. And crucially, the source is clear that this value, it doesn't come from the usual places we look. Not your bank balance, not your job title, not how many likes you get.
Okay, so where does it come from, according to this material?
Well, it suggests this deep intrinsic value comes from understanding something much more fundamental. It's the understanding that we are part of a great river of life, connected by love, compassion, and seeing one another.
Wow, so finding your worth, not in like individual wins, but in being part of this huge interconnected flow.
Exactly. It's a very different way of framing where value comes from.
And what's really fascinating here is how the source links this inner sufficiency idea directly to something else it calls love that is enough. And it feels like this love is, I don't know, the engine or maybe the soil where sufficiency grows.
It's definitely presented as the absolute foundation. And the material gets specific about where this love that is enough actually begins.
Where?
It starts profoundly with deep self-love. Self-love, and it's not framed as like an optional extra. It's described as the essential bedrock.
Okay, self-love. So what does that actually look like according to these notes? How do we practice it?
Well, it means embracing all of who you are, not just polishing the shiny parts, but really accepting the bits you might see as flaws or shortcomings too.
That sounds hard. It also means actively stopping that inner critic, right? That harsh voice so many of us have.
Yes, stopping the criticism and also letting go of the constant comparison game. Measuring yourself against other people all the time. And critically, it means releasing that need for external validation, that feeling we started with needing something else to be okay. Self-love, in this context, is the inner state where that need just dissolves. The source uses this beautiful phrase for it. It's an acceptance that we are perfect in our imperfect perfection.
Perfect in our imperfect perfection. I like that. It feels gentler. It suggests growth isn't about fixing something broken, but more like unfolding.
Yeah, like being gentle with yourself,
Yeah.
forgiving your mistakes, actually learning from them and feeling genuinely proud of your own unique, messy, wonderful journey.
And this self-love, this filling up from the inside, the source suggests that when you're truly full with this love that is enough, it doesn't just stay put, does it?
No, it naturally, almost inevitably overflows. It spills outwards.
And that's where it becomes love that is brave enough. Brave enough for what?
Brave enough, the material says, to face the entirety of life's reality. Not just the comfortable bits, the easy parts, but everything, including the difficulties, the suffering.
Okay, this feels like a really important turn. This brave outward love is linked directly to encountering the suffering of others.
Yes. The source suggests that opening your heart wide enough to really sense and feel the pain in the world. That's the true starting point for this deeper, outward-flowing love.
Right.
And there's a really stunning phrase here. It says, tears shed from sensing the suffering of others are the purest prayer of an awakened heart.
The purest prayer. That's incredibly moving. So it's not just thinking about suffering, it's a deep felt connection. And the source calls that a spiritual act.
Yeah, like an act of kindness towards all life. And that act of courageous empathy, of really receiving the suffering of others with an open heart, that's what breaks down the feeling of isolation.
And that helps you see the connections.
Exactly. You see how suffering isn't isolated, how it affects the whole system.
Yeah.
And from that place of seeing clearly and feeling deeply, that's where wisdom starts to arise.
So you understand the why behind the suffering, not just feel the pain.
Right. You start to see the patterns, the reasons. And that understanding, which comes from love and empathy, is what shows you how to act, how to find real, meaningful ways to help ease that suffering, both out there and within yourself.
So love that is enough. It starts with radical self-acceptance, then expands into this brave openness to the world's pain. It sounds like it's not just a feeling, it's presented as both the reason why we act and the energy that drives that action.
That's a great way to put it. It's both the inspiration and the driving force for wise, compassionate action.
Okay, shifting gears just a bit. The source brings us back to the word sufficiency itself. Got it. But it stresses that here, it's not just about economics or just being frugal.
Correct. That's a common way to understand the word, but here it's redefined. It's not just about managing stuff. It's about discovering a true inner balance, a state inside you that feels stable, feels just right.
Not too little, not too much. That middle way again.
Exactly. The source actually calls this inner state the just rightness of a good enough heart. And this balance, it's what gives you the power to let go of that constant chasing, that excessive wanting.
But interestingly, it also helps you overcome the opposite, right? Like lazy inaction.
Yes. You're not driven by craving anymore, but you're also not stuck or complacent. You act, but from a place of balance and clarity, not neediness.
So someone who embodies this inner balance, how do they actually show up? What does the material say they're like?
They're described as being deeply content with themselves. Genuinely happy with who they are and what they do. They have this inner strength, standing strong on their own legs and heart. Very. And crucially, because they have that inner strength and contentment, they are genuinely ready and able to benefit others. They really get that idea of benefit to self, benefit to others, because the self part is already taken care of from within.
That makes sense. This inner strength, it feels connected to how we experience being valued too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The source also mentions true seeing. As another facet of inner sufficiency.
Yes. That concept really speaks to that deep human need to be truly understood, truly valued. It's that amazing, rare feeling when someone sees beyond the surface.
Yeah.
When they genuinely understand and respect you for who you are, seeing your inner light.
And there's that lovely image the source uses here, realizing that we are an unfinished poem of the universe. Like we're all carrying this unique story, and we get to choose to share our own inner light.
And the material adds that this light isn't necessarily like some big dazzling spotlight. Often it's softer, quieter, described as just enough, sufficient.
A gentle light.
Yeah, a gentle light that, because it's authentic and present, can really warm someone's heart, especially if they're going through a dark time. It's about presence, not performance.
Okay, so as we dig deeper here, the source really emphasizes that reaching this state, inner sufficiency, it's deeply personal, isn't it?
Very personal. It's something you have to realize for yourself.
Right. You can't just read about it in a book or have someone explain it perfectly. It has to be experienced.
Exactly. It's an inner realization, an internal journey. But when it is realized, it doesn't stay hidden. The source says it actually transforms into a way of living, something tangible, something you can feel and see in the world.
It shows up, according to the notes, as being just pranatini,
Yeah.
beautifully
Yeah.
sufficient, kame, kantanani. And these aren't just labels. They're described as states you actually feel and live.
And how do you know? How do you know you're really in that state of inner sufficiency? The source gives us some internal clues.
Like what?
You feel a sense of being full enough, full in the heart. You experience this deep contentment, specifically in this moment, right now. There's no feeling of needing something more, no waiting for some future condition before you can finally feel okay.
It's like that feeling of having arrived right here. And the material points to this really beautiful paradox, doesn't it? Reaching this state isn't necessarily about figuring everything out, about having all the answers.
No, not at all. The source suggests it's more about accepting and resting in a profound silence that radiates light.
A silence that radiates light. Wow.
It's a silence that isn't empty or lacking. It's actually deeply full of presence, full of understanding, full of meaning.
That's a powerful idea. So bringing all these pieces together, the source describes true awakening not as some huge dramatic event, but more like the heart being gently touched by the world's suffering. And then, from that place of connection, choosing consciously to respond with love and wisdom.
Yeah, and the final summary in the source material really wraps this up beautifully. It presents inner sufficiency as this state of mind marked by balance, by peace, and by this inherent power to give freely.
And it comes from experiencing that love that is enough, right? Starting with yourself, expanding to others, extending to everything.
Exactly. Love for oneself, love for others, love for all things. And when the heart gets to that place, content, sufficient within itself, the source says, something truly transformative happens.
Which is?
An internal fullness appears, a sense of being complete right within the heart. And this fullness, it says, never lacks.
Never lacks.
And then the material ends with this incredibly profound statement, linking this inner state to ultimate reality itself. And when that happens, samsara is nirvana.
Wow. So the cycle of searching and suffering, samsara, and the state of liberation and peace, nirvana, they become understood not as totally separate things, but experienced together within that truly sufficient heart.
That's the implication.
So this whole deep dive, guided by this material, it really offers such a different path, doesn't it? An alternative to that constant external chase most of us are caught up in.
It really does. It challenges that core belief that fulfillment comes from getting more and suggests, well, maybe true sufficiency, that deep sense of enoughness, is actually an inner state we can access right now, grounded in self-acceptance and brave connection.
It definitely invites you, the listener, to pause and think. What might actually shift in your own perspective, maybe even your daily life, if you really took on board this idea that you are already sufficient right now, just as you are?
Yeah. And how could actively cultivating that love that is enough, starting with really accepting your own imperfect perfection, how could that change how you show up in the world, how you interact with others?
And maybe the most provocative thought the source leaves us with is that engaging with the world's difficulties, its suffering, with an open heart, isn't a path to despair, but actually a path to wisdom, to action.
And that perhaps the deepest meaning isn't found out there, searching for loud answers, but by turning inwards, by accepting and just sitting with that silence that radiates light. What insights might be waiting for you there?